more from this than probably what I'm going to teach you guys. Hopefully my pain will be well spent. So we're going to talk about animation clips. So as you see this guy turning here, that's not really an animation clip. That is just rotation done with moving parts basically in the Globalcompany script. This moving oil plane is UV scroll. Animation would be basically, see that ram up there, it's going to push down here a little bit, push down, these raw donuts come out, they basically start to move across the screen. They're going to hit this flipper, and actually they're going to, I brought another object in to show the bottom of it done. Flips over, falls into the plane again, it's going to move on down like so. And hit this flipper, it's going to get completely done. I didn't do a very good transition to the being done thing. I've learned more just by doing this video. Flips over into the box, and I even have a separate animation going on with that plane. You can just a little bit see it going up. Man, I got, every time I start to do this, somebody bugs me on the phone. And once it gets to the top, it's going to go back down. So the importance of animation is you can do it in a loop. It's a consistent timing. The particle effects just kind of fly all over, and you can kind of set them up to start when the machine starts and stop when it stops. You can do other things with them, but the animation clip is just, it's a lot more fluent. It's a little more file space. But I'm going to show you how to do this in Notepad and import it into an i3D. Currently Blender, I don't know of a way that it supports animation out into an i3D. So you have to do it through paid programs otherwise, but we're going to show you how to do this for free. I'll give you another example as well. So let me get off of here, go to my monitor. Here's a couple other examples, and to give you an idea, so animation wise, the only thing in that animation is this here. All the other stuff is just, it's eye candy, smoke and mirrors, the whole thing as usual. So here's the actual animation going on. It's just basically the flippers, the RAM, then I'm going to have the donuts. In fact, I don't even see the donuts in this one yet, so this might be even an old one. Well, this is where I was using visibility that doesn't work, I found out. So as default, your window is going to look something like, if I can find it, reset window layout. So I'm going to go window, and we're going to bring up the animation screen. So in order to get anything to work, if you're out here, you can't make anything happen. You have to be part of the animation itself. So we're just going to pick something off here, hit play, and as you can see, everything picks up and starts functioning. And I'm actually, as you can see, it's an invisible part, which I'm going to show you, that doesn't work once you save the file, unfortunately. So I had to do something a little different besides visibility and visibility true and false, and I'll show you why and how that worked. So basically this is just the animation scene itself. Very important as well, do not save this file until you are completely done, and if you do want to save it, export it out, copy it. Once you save that file, I can show you what happens. In fact, we'll do one more explanation or example of the animation. This is the main reason I started this back in FS 2017. I was given the instructions how to do it by someone on Giants Developer Network. I need to dig on who that was so I can give them credit. I'm going to go ahead and bring in a light as well. So this is why I started. You hit the play button and this pump starts to basically move around, and it's even in depth as far as even, and I didn't do a very good job here, but these cylinders actually move back and forth to stay in line with those angles. So all these different parts are moving in this scene. Even if you zoom way in, depending on what your quality is, you can actually see the rod going up and down into the ground as well. So that's where this all started. It's just another example. Let's go ahead and close it out. So I'll show you what happens if I get rid of that animation. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to supply this folder to give you a start, because you kind of need this text. So right now, if I open this folder or this file, this is going to be basically how I'm going to show you guys how it starts, but I'll show you what's going on. It's just basically I took a weight from in-game, and if I go and I hit the play, animation starts to happen. But if we look into the file itself, if I right click, edit with Notepad, all the way down at the bottom I added in this animation line. So once, to give you an idea, once you take this file, we'll copy it over here. Once you take this file, you open it up. If you save it with Giants Editor, like so, what it does is it produces this animation file. So I think it saves a little space. It's the same thing as a shapes file. Basically, when you save it, when you first bring in something from Blender, it doesn't have a shape file. It gives you the binary error, a warning, I guess you could say. But when I go in here and look at this file now, when I go down, instead of actually being animations all set up, it's actually an animation file now. So great and all, but the problem is, guess what? You just lost all your coding that you put in there. So what I try to do is I try to copy out into a notepad all this stuff before I actually save the file, or better yet, just copy it over. Because like I said, you can redo that line. You can come in here, like I can grab this, I can open this back up. So basically, to give you an idea, if I delete that and I try to open it, the i3D will open fine, but it's going to tell us down here in the corner, failed to read animation file, animation example. So when I click on that, we've got no play button anymore. So like I said, not the end of the world if you have this file still, because you can go in here and edit Notepad, you can grab this text, you could copy, come back over here, and just get rid of this line with the text, Control D, we hit save, we close all this back out, open it back up, now, thank goodness, we can still actually hit that and do our animation. But if you didn't save that text file or save a copy of that, you just lost all your coding, basically, if you want to call it coding. So that gives you that breakdown. What we'll do is, I want to show you real quick as well. I'll break this file down a little bit. So what you have is their node IDs. Instead of using indexes, it's still indexing, but instead of actually using indexes themselves from the i3D file, it's using nodes, which is over here. Let's see if we can squash this folder or this notepad down so we can see a little better on one screen. Need to work on getting where I can show both of my monitors on stream, I guess, or on the full video when I'm doing this. So you get animation location, and I'll get into that as well. So you have ID 7, not index, but ID 7. So that's your animation location. That gives you translation and your node ID 7. Then we have the add code, which is a weight, ID 8. So it's going to tell you, the name of it is add code visible, and then it's node ID 8. Now them are important because they're used down here in the keyframes. All this other stuff up here matters, but it doesn't matter. And I'll show you a little bit on how it does affect things, because I painfully found out from doing this video a couple of times while I was having issues crash. I didn't have any issues when I did my mods, but I was trying to cheat and have a location node up here and then move it in the actual file or in the global mod location to cheat, and it doesn't like that. You actually have to set your location with the animation. I should have known that because I had to do it in 17, but anyway, long story short, you have to have your animation, the actual location set in your loop, or you're going to have some issues. And I like to try to use an empty transform top as far as with no material, just to kind of set it so you can do some other things. And unfortunately, you can't hit play and watch it without having that selected. What I have done is I made like a dummy visual. That way I can move it off screen, click it, add it to the little location order, and hit play. But then you got another thing in the scene, just takes up more space basically. So back to the file. So you do have to have an animation set name. You can name that whatever you want, and then there's clip. So you could call this like weight scene, and then you can have separate clips inside that scene. So you could have weight, you could have I don't know, you could have another material in there. It just gives you different options. I don't have a multi-scene set up for an example, but that's something you can play with, and maybe I'll throw that in the example folder later. So like I said, back to what we're trying to do here. So the animation example, you got animation location, which is node 7. what you need to do is you need to set that translation to the location you want to start on that, in that scene. If you don't, what's going to happen is it's going to be wherever you say here. It doesn't matter what this is on the i3D up in here, like it could be at 1, but if you change this to 0, then it's going to move right off the bat and throw everything off. And that's why I tried cheating by having a location node up above. But when you do that, it affects the animation file, and it crashes. It doesn't like it. Let's put it that way. So you actually have to set your location in this animation. It's kind of a pain, but it's the best way I can explain it. And then we're actually going to have the part that's going to be moving. That is the add co-visible weight, node 8, down here. And then this basically, so you've got your time. This is 20,000 milliseconds. So you start out at 0. That's where you want to start it. So right off the bat, again, if you want to start it, in the middle of that transform, you can put it wherever you want, but it doesn't matter what you have over here. As soon as that animation starts at 0, it's going to pop. It's going to take it over there. So you have to make sure you match your translation to what you had in your scene, or it's going to look a little odd. Another important thing is at 20,000 milliseconds, you can make this whatever you want, but you need to make sure you move that back to that location, or there's going to be a drastic change on screen as well. So you can have it basically moving down a conveyor all the way to the end, and then you have to dump it underground, bring it back around, and start that loop back over. So your end of the conveyor would have to be like 18,000, and at 20,000 you have to hide it somehow. And I'll show you a little bit how I did that as well. The visibility thing doesn't work. I was showing you in the donuts. It works great until you save it as an animation file. So once again, there's your times. An important thing as well, if you have a rotation in any of these sequences, every single, even if you just change it once, so say you got 0, 0 here and you say you want just 20 here, all the other ones have to be 0 if you want them at 0, because what it's going to do is going to give you an error. It's going to say, hey, you were missing an attribute. You have it in this keyframe, but you don't have it here, so it's going to skip every other one that doesn't match. Same with scale. If you're going to change the scale off, you're not going to change the scale, you can literally take those scale lines out. It's not going to affect it. Translation law. So like I said, the only ones I've been able to get to work so far is rotation, scale, translation. Visibility worked until I exported it, and somehow, I think it's because of the way Giant saves space in files, I think it was looking at true, visibility true as default, so when it brought it all over, it didn't bring in the visibility true. And I don't know if it's just an animation that doesn't like that or what. I haven't gotten an answer. I'd have to dig on Giant's developer network, but so far rotation, scale, and translation's all I've been able to get to work. Like I said, these are simply just your timestamps. Nothing big here. You can do whatever sequence you want. You could go 0 to 10,000, then 10,001, 10,002, 10,003. They just have to be in sequence. You can't put 6,000 up here, or it's going to give you a monotonic error as well. I think I touched on all that as fast as I could, because this video can get very lengthy. Like I said, I've done it a couple of times, and I run into the issue, and it was the location thing I finally figured out. So that gives you an idea of what all that does. Like I said, the biggest thing is put this animation under scene and above i3D. So what we'll do is we'll actually close out of here, and we'll just kind of show you how we're going to set this up. I'll actually put it in the scene, and we'll bring it in the game through Globalcompany. So that's blank. So what I do, I've got to cheat to my data folders. I did this with a cube, and now that I think about it, it wasn't the cube issue, so I could make a cube and just do this as well. I think it was probably an issue with the location that was causing it, but I'll show you what I did for the example anyway. So we're going to go into data, vehicles, add code. I'm just going to grab a weight. It doesn't have to be that specific weight. We're going to open this weight up. And then I'm going to go and get rid of everything I don't need. So we'll just simply, this is already a different one than I use, so Control X, Control V. I'm just going to delete that transform altogether. I'm going to move this up. I'm going to create transform group. I'm just going to call this animation location, so it's explaining what it's there for, like so. Control X, Control V. Let's move this up. Now we're going to go File, Export all the files. We'll go Desktop, animation example, and that's just what we're going to call animation example, like so. Yes, want to keep the parent directory, that way it keeps the texture files, so we're not having that issue. I do not want to save that because that's a data file. We'll close that back out. It's going to go right into here. Now we have our i3D. What I want to do is I want to open it up. You got to really watch. So you can grab your nodes from the Giants editor itself, but you got to really watch if you change anything or it changes those IDs. It doesn't change them until you save it. So it gets really goofy, and I think even by doing this, like expanding it, affects it as well. So always save that file, then you can look in there, and that's where you can get your IDs. Like I said, it's just as quick to do it in Notepad, but you can get them from this basically GUI standpoint. We're going to go ahead and close that back out. We're going to grab the folder that I'm going to try to supply you guys with, which is FS19 animation. Here's the example. So this is your starting point. I just want to grab this text file, copy it into my other folder, get rid of that so we don't get confused. Now we're going to grab this file, and then we're going to go edit with Notepad. Bring them up. So I'm simply going to use this as a starting point. So I'm going to copy all this text, Control C, and come below the scene, V, and we need to start reading our nodes to make sure they line up. So we've got our animation location is 7. That's going to be our first keyframe set, so that's at 7, and then our add code visible is at 8, which is good. We're at 8. Okay, so we're good so far. Now another thing to notice, transform group. So on that original file, I didn't change that translation, so you got to be real careful here. As I said, it'll be jumping around. I could go back and save it, but then I'd have to save the file with animation. We'd back, I'm losing all this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab this translation like so. Control C. I'm just going to dump it up to here. Control V. I'm going to save. I want to minimize this out. I'm going to open it back up like so. So now what we have is all the animation is active already because I copied that in, and as you can see, it even changed our translation. So we're still at 7 for our ID there, and we're still at 8, so we're still good. But now when we hit this play button, actually I can just pick that, we're going to start our animation. Just by simply pulling that file up and giving it the correct nodes, it's going to start doing its thing. I just wanted to show you if that translate, like if I come out of here, if I close this back out, hit no, and I edit this again. So if I take this translation out, and we save, then we go back and open that back up again. Well, I have 2 of them open. I'm going to do that. I'm going to end up saving over that other one. So now what's going to happen is our location is going to be at 0, like so, but as soon as I hit play, watch it, it'll jump. So boom, it popped over. So that's why that location is important. Like I said, I was trying to cheat by having an actual location up top and then moving all the animation underneath it, but that was causing things to crash. It did not like it. So that's why you need to set that original location. And it's fine, 00 is fine, just you need to get it set where you want it eventually. So we're going to copy that again just so it's not causing issues. Make sure you don't copy the wrong things over. So we're going to save this. What we're going to do is we're going to pull this into a scene, and I'm going to show you how you can manipulate this on screen, save things in here, and then test it. We're still going to be saved, so it's going to be a little tricky because we're going to be saving things in this folder and import it into the other scene, so you have to constantly kind of go and delete things. But anyway, it'll work. This is just the easiest way to, rather than saving things 4 times. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to grab the factory pack, going to look for the donut fryer, and I do this with particle animations as well. I'll actually bring things into that node, which that's another video, particle animations. So what we'll do is we'll import desktop animation example. We're going to actually import that i3D. So first thing we're going to try to get set, as you can see, Well, let's do this too. Control X, get it inside the actual entire mod. So we want to take this animation location and we want to bring it down to where we want to start this animation, like so. So right off the bat, we need to come in here. If you go Shift Control C, it's going to copy these points in your location. So we can come over to this i3 or the notepad, and now we can literally Control V to paste it there, and in keyframe 0, Control V to paste it there. Like I said, as long as you're at 0, you don't have to add these other times in. But once you put, say, if you wanted to try to move this one time, you'd have to have like 4,000 and end it with a 20. If you don't, it's going to give you timing errors. So they have to all be the same length. So if you want to have a clip that's only, say, 10,000 milliseconds long, you either have to start another clip, or I say clip, but keyframes. You have to start either another clip, or you would simply stop it at 10,000, not have anything underneath, and at 20,000 just match your same location and everything as far as your attributes at 10,000, if that makes any sense. You can't have keyframes not be this, add up to 20,000. Like I said, 0 is fine, but once you add 1,000, and what we can do is I can give you an example. If I come into here, see, and I could have been doing something different, otherwise it caused another issue. If I go 100 and I hit save, now when I grab this guy, we'll go ahead and delete that, import animation example, Control X, Control V. It didn't give me the error, so maybe I had other issues going on that was causing that. So now when I hit play, it starts out at the right point. So I must have had something else going on there too. I thought that had to be, and maybe it's because I didn't move it either. Let's go ahead and delete. See, I find something every time I start doing these videos. So if I go in here and I change this to 1, I save it, come back in, import animation example, X, Control D. Yeah, so it made a liar out of me there, so I guess you don't have to worry about that. See how it popped up right away? But what's going to happen is going to get that back to that point. See how it's moving down real slow? So that's why you got to watch. It's a transition over time is what happens on the animation. It doesn't just move over at that specific, it's transitioning down back to its other location. So basically what it did is it shot up to 1, and it transitioned back down. So it made a liar out of me. I guess you don't have to finish out. I must have monotonic reasons where I had stuff just lined up incorrect. So disregard the whole having to have 20,000. But just remember, it's going to go 20,000 before it goes back to 0. So keep that in mind. If you're not going to move it, then you simply just put a 0 in there and tell it where you want it to start. So back to where we were. Let's go ahead and delete that out. And I'm not going to save this guy here until I get it set. I'm going to open it and back up and bring it in because I'm importing and exporting so much. I'm going to mess up nodes either. But we'll import this guy back in. So we're going to get this set. So what we want to do, we're going to have the weight setting there. We won't move our location, but we're going to take this weight itself. We're going to start at 0. We're going to move up to here. We're going to rotate 90 degrees. So what we need to do, see if we can get all this to fit on one screen. Maybe. Don't need that much room here. We don't need much room here. So that should work. Bring that over here. That should be good. So basically at 0 we want to start everything out at rotation 0, scale 1, transition 0. But at 2000 we want our transition, so Shift Control C. So our translation, it's a transition. Control V, that's going to change that location. Scale will just keep the same for now, but on the rotation we're going to make this 90. So what will happen at 2000 milliseconds, it's going to move up to that location and spin to 90. Now, go to 4000 before I forget. That's the biggest thing too, is remembering where you're at in your sequence. What we're going to do is going to move it over, up a little more. Let's just go ahead and shrink it down to 0.75. Just because, not like you're going to do that with a weight, but it just kind of shows you what you can do. So translate, and a copy, paste it in. We're going to take our rotation, copy, paste it in, and it didn't change, but it's just a good idea to copy it. Control C for scale, paste it. In fact, I already messed up there. I didn't make sure my scale stayed the same, or that would have been goofy. So it's 6,000. We want to take this guy. We're just going to go ahead and, we'll transition over, get over the top of this box. It's like so. So translate, Control C, Control V. We can go ahead and scale it down again, 0.5. Do that. Paste that. Rotation, I think we're going to start spinning this, so I want to go 0. Let's go 180. So 180. So we're good there. Now we're going to go to 8,000. So let's go ahead and let's bring it down to like here. In fact, let's go ahead and scale it to 2.5. I'm just going to sink it down in this box, like so. So, at 8,000, we want to have our, I'm just going to go this way because of being over rotation. Paste that in, scale. Paste that in, translate. Paste that in. Alright. Now, for 10,000, we go ahead and start moving this guy out of the box. We'll move it up to, say there. And we're going to go ahead and bring it back up to 1 right off the bat. 1, 1. Go ahead and spin it back to original state. So we're going to have rotate to 0, scale 1, and then translation is there. In fact, I'm going to make this a little easier on myself too. I'm going to get rid of all these other lines so that way we don't forget one. Shift Control Alt, come down here and actually get rid of all that stuff. Same thing here. Alt, like so. Alright. So 12,000. So we're going to go to the rotate 0, 0, 0, 0. Scale. 1, 1, 1. Translate. I might have already done this one, but oh well. That's why I said if you start losing track of where you're at, yeah, so I've already done 12,000. Alright, so my bad. So 12,000, let's do this. Let's move it on over here. Bring it over here, bring it over here. Let's just skew this thing, like, blow it out. So we'll go rotate zeros, scale, gonna get funky here, Control C, Control V, translate, Shift, Control C, Control V. Just to show you too, if we take this guy primitive plane and we actually make a ground here. So if we take this guy and we shift him underground, that's the only way right now we have to really make it invisible. I'll show you other, well, we can, I take that back. We could take it down to scale 0. But same thing, if you transition over time, it's going to slowly get down. You'd have to like do it in quick steps, like at say 11,999, you'd have the same scale as 12,000. Then at 12,001, you'd have to go scale 0. So bam, it would disappear on scale, or you hide it like I'm doing it here. So the next transition, we're going to Control B. Scale, take it back to 1. 1, 1, 1. Rotation is 0. And then go ahead and bring up over here, swing over here. And we'll just throw in some goofy numbers, 20, 20, 100. Translation. Control D, rotation, Control D, scale is just 1, we can type that in faster. Now we want to kind of try to get back to the original point, which is 0, 0. So if we just go ahead and try to go over here, down over here, we're getting close to where we want to be, just kind of swing over. Let's go ahead and go back to rotate. Keep that there, go translate, paste that in, rotate 0, scale is a 1. And what I usually do is, depending on how you're trying, if you're going off the end of the conveyor, you want to kind of loop it around and do like I was saying, but I'm just going to basically take it right back to where we started. So to cheat, I'm just going to go Shift, Home, Control C. I'm going to actually go End, Shift Home, Control D. I'm going to put 20,000 in here. And I'll just delete this line. That way there's less chance of messing something up. So now if I save that file, take this location, we'll delete it, import back in, animation example, Control X, Control V. Now I'm going to grab this, we hit play, it's going to go through its motion, it's going to swing over, down, spin around, go down to the box, kind of move over, move up, do its thing, and we're going to skew way out, and so I'm going to disappear into the ground, come back up, go around. So you can do different things. Like I said, translate, you can basically zip it across somewhere real fast in a millisecond, or you could scale it to 0. And to give you an idea, let's see if we can try to do it here. So say at 8,000 here, we wanted to make it disappear. So what you would do is I would grab this line here, Control C, Home, just go back to full screen so I can see what I'm doing, Control V. So at 8001 you would have scale 0. Then say down here, copy this line, Control C, Control D. Then at 9,999 we would match all these attributes. So what it's going to do is 801, it's going to go scale 0, so it's going to poof, disappear, and then right before 10,000 it's going to reappear at this location. So if I hit save, back here, I'm going to once again delete, import, bring in the animation example, X, Control D, hit play. Oops, did I do that wrong? Play, there we go. Alright, so it's going to swing over, I think it was 8,000 where it was, I can't remember now. Basically it's going to swing down there, whoop, disappeared, pop back up at 10,000. So it's not a very long transition, so actually to make it better, you need a longer transition time overall. So let's go all the way to, like, in fact we can have, let's go like 18,000. Let's go all the way up to here just to delete all of these. So copy this. So 6001. We're going to be there. Then zero, zero, zero. We're going to disappear. And at this point, Control C and 17,999. We're going to reappear at full scale at that transition point. Say maybe that'll give more time for things to happen. It's one of the things you just kind of have to play with it and get it where you want. It's a short animation anyway, so when you hit play, it's gonna go up, go across. I think it was 6,000 will disappear basically. Over there, boop, disappears. So it's just kind of move around and it's gonna come back up. In fact, I screwed up. That's what I was talking about. You got to be careful with. Okay, yeah, my bad. So I actually need to copy this line. Simple animation loop to make this 17,999. So that way it's sharing. You see how it's literally taking 3 lines just to make a visibility happen, because visibility is instant. And it's cool how that works. But so we're going to go ahead and save. Shouldn't have to take 3 lines to try to make something invisible. For some reason, I said I'll try to give you that example here in a little bit. I'm not even going to move. Just going to leave it right there for now. It's going to have 6,000. It's going to start swinging down there. Disappear. It's going to move around. And then right there, pops back into the scene. So that's how that works. That's how you have to make visibility work. If you try, so let's go cancel actually. Yeah, let's go ahead and close that. Hit no. So this is what happens. Close all this out. Animation example. Let's minimize that for now. So if I go into this file, edit with Notepad, instead of doing all those lines, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these so that way we don't lose them, because I've already changed a bunch of stuff I should have saved. Paste that back over there. So if I want to do, instead of doing all that moving around, so say simply at 6,000, so we'd have to go visibility equals true. Copy that. Paste those in. So we want all these to be visibility true, but instead of using this bogus stuff to make them reappear, I could simply, at 6001, I could make this visibility false. And then, in fact, even better yet, I don't even need the 6001 because it's going to move to that location at 6,000 and then go, hey, you know what? I want to make this guy disappear. So visibility false, visibility true. So I just got rid of 3 lines. If I hit save, bring this out. Now this is where I'll show you. So basically I just open it up in this file. I hit play. Or open, sorry, play. So as you can see, no errors, no problems. Swing over this guy here. I'm going to hit it. In fact, it can be cool as you can actually see it move when it goes invisible. So it's going to do its thing, move around, and at 6,000 it disappears, and you can still see it moving in the scene, but it's not visible. And yeah, we'll use 16,000 and it pops back in. streaming. I thought I was recording. Ha! Awesome. So I'll have to copy that from Twitch. But anyhow, that's cool how that works, but the problem is if you go File, Export all the files, and then go to Test and hit Enter. Yes, yes. Close this out, hit No to save. And I open this up, everything's there. And I'm sorry guys, if there's anybody in chat, I'm not doing chat because I was planning on just recording the video. So anyone watching the stream that didn't know I was recording, thanks for joining. I'll get back to you guys later. So everything appears okay, there's no errors, but when you go up here and hit play, it immediately goes invisible. So there's an issue when it translates over to the animation file. So that's why, unfortunately, I can't use the visibility attribute. It's moving around. I had to click the right one, but it just instantly goes to visibility false. So unfortunately, there's just no way around that. Sucks, but as they say, it happens. So what I'm going to do, we're going to go back to the global. I'll show you how we can bring that in to a global company file. We're going to go to my OneDrive, go to my folder, factory pack. We're going to swing down to donut fryer. I'm going to import animation example. Close, X that out. We're going to Control V to paste it in. So it's there. It's done. Hit save. So now what we have to do is we have to map it in the donut fryer. So can actually get rid of that file. Get rid of that file. Don't need to save it. Go to factory. We're going to go to donut fryer XML. Control End. We're going to grab a map line. Control C. Enter. End. Shift Home. Control V. And bring the screen back up. Let's bring this over so we see things again. Control C for that map name. Control V. And important too, the global company, if you guys haven't figured out, you don't want anything as far from the carets or less than, greater than. You only want that actual index. Now it's back to index pathing. You got to remember that. Control C. You go back and forth between things, it can mess you up. So basically, we just brought that map in, so I don't need this file anymore. So we can close him out. So we're going to go ahead and copy that line. I'm going to hit Control F, and I know I want to be in the clip section. It's going to look for the animation clip. So here's where the animation nodes, where you can just rotate stuff that I was talking about, go. There's your scrolling animation I was talking about with a UV offset. But we want to actually make an animation clip. So we're going to copy the line I already have. Like I said, that's the best way. Call it cheating, copying, or whatever you want to call it, but don't try to make your own code if you're not good at it. Copy lines, put your own thing into it. I'm not telling you to copy people's mods, but copy lines and then use them attributes to do your own thing. So the animation, the actual node we want is this guy here. I paste it in. Now the name was back on that clip, so I guess I should have left that open. You need that clip name, and I think it's just animation test, but I think it's the same as the node. So animation location is actually, no, it's animation example, so I'm going to copy that because you need that clip name. Control B. Now if you want to change the speed, you can. We'll just leave it at 1. In fact, we'll speed it up so we can see it happen more. And this is if you want it to reset, if the machine stops and starts again. That could be depending on how the animations work. Is it looping or is it going to the end of the conveyor? If it's going into conveyor, you can just hit false. And this tells it to loop. You can tell it just basically go one time if you wanted to. So we're going to hit save on the XML. Close out. Should be able to bring the game open. And this is where I always find out if I screwed something up, because like I said, I was changing that location without the animation, and it did not like that. It was crashing me every time. I thought it was something else I was doing. It was very frustrating. So now when we move over to the donut fryer, we should have that weight floating in the air and then disappearing and coming back up. I have not done this with a rigid setting yet, so that could be interesting. I having something flying around hitting you. So I'm not seeing it yet. Did I not bring it in? I might not have saved it. So that's interesting. There's always something, guys, always something. So let me get back to my monitor. Close that out. Where are we at here? So we have factor pack, torrent fryer, open it up. Okay, animal animation location, so it's there. 10. Oh, you dummy. Dummy, 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 dummy. Okay, so remember I was talking about and saving stuff? Recycle bin. Test. Cut. Let's see what this one does. I must have saved that visibility one and I didn't save my... You know what though? Yeah, and I deleted that. Idiot. So I was talking about, if you don't watch it, yeah. So I hit play. Oops, wrong play. Yep, this is the one that has animation. I thought I didn't save that though, but I saved. Oh boy. I don't have the shape there, so what is going on? Okay, I know what to do. Edit with notepad. Never mind, guys, I can fix this. We'll just get rid of those visibility lines. I'm going to lose half our animation, but delete. Delete, we should be good. Save. So yeah, we're going to lose a lot of our animation, but let's see what happens here. So I'm saying make backups. It's always awesome when I make my own mistakes in stream. Now we should be fine. Okay, so close that. Bring it back up here. We're going to go ahead and delete that guy. Import back in. Animation example. Cut. None of the nodes change, so we shouldn't have to resave anything. We just have to basically, or redo anything. We just have to basically bring it back up in game. So that's what I'm telling you, that the visibility thing just, it screwed my day up. I worked and worked and worked on getting it all set up the way I wanted, just to find out visibility doesn't work right. And I said there may be something I'm doing incorrect, but that would be, it's literally every time you want to make something disappear off screen or move it really fast, it's an extra 3 lines, because you have to literally go 01 and then the one before and the one after, if that makes any sense. Okay, so there we go. We have the weight floating in air. Now it's going to move really fast at some point. I say move really fast, but it's such a short scene. So, yeah. And we took all of one of the lines out of there. But that's that. Like, that'd be pretty cool if that was rigid. Get you to push it around. No errors, so that's a good thing too. And it didn't crash when I opened it. So there you go, from scratch to into the Globalcompany mod. That's how you get an animation clip to work. Sorry about all the extra, probably 10 minutes of me learning stuff while I'm doing the video and the shotgun noise. I thank Chris for the host, but I didn't even know I was streaming. I thought I was recording, but out of habit I hit start stream instead of record. So it'll take me a little longer to upload this video, but that's that, guys. Hopefully that was helpful. I know sometimes I can get to rambling and make mistakes and add things I don't need to add, but that is how you get animation to work. So we will catch you guys later.